Hey, folks. It is September the 3rd, and today we're going to start talking about our next section in the book, and it has to do with chapters 12 and 13. We're going to start talking about Eastern Rome, otherwise known as the Byzantine Empire. So the people who are in here now, I'm giving them some time to go over it. Then they're going to discuss the terms that I'm going to put on the board. I'm going to show some images, and I'm going to put our definitions and notes up on the Google Classroom. So if you have not so far, you need to do your quiz. If you have done it, good job. So if you have any questions, just go ahead and email me and all that good stuff. All right. So chapters 12 and 13. And I will put the terms up on the board now. Look. Hey guys. All right, so that does it for time as far as you're going over it. Now I'm going to give you a few minutes with people around you. I want you to discuss the following terms: the Byzantine Empire, Justinian the Great, Belisarius, Corpus Iuris, Cutis, and rebuilding. So go ahead and turn to your neighbors and discuss, please. Okay, I heard you. Okay. Hey, all right, so that does it for discussion time. Now let's talk about the images. So, your book was correct to say that in the east, Constantinople, you had what was called the Byzantine Empire. The reason it's called the Byzantine Empire is it's based around a city, an ancient Greek city called Byzantium. But the Roman Emperor Constantine the Great, he's going to make Christianity legal, and he's going to move the capital of Rome to Byzantium, and it's going to be renamed after Emperor Constantine. It's going to be called Constantinople. It's going to be built into a very tough, defensible city with huge walls around it. It's going to have a harbor with a giant iron, retractable chain to protect it from boats and stuff like that from invading. They're going to have, like you saw in the video, they're going to have flamethrowers and stuff like that. It's going to be very, very defensible, and it's going to last for hundreds and hundreds of years. You see here, this is a mosaic of the emperor from our time period we're talking about. His name is Justinian the Great. And there's his wife, the Empress Theodora. We're going to discuss more about them in the future. But though they almost lose the empire a couple of times, actually a few times, they're going to almost lose it. One, because they're going to have riots that are going to get so bad that a lot of the capital is going to get burned until he turns the army on them and has all of the rioters killed. And then it's going to almost be wiped out by the invasion of the new Persians. They're going to come in from the east, and they're almost going to come take it. Then again, they're going to have plague. And so plague is going to sweep through the city and take out a lot of people. But despite all of that, it's still a time of great prosperity, largely due to Justinian's leadership, and he's going to have some people who are going to work for him that will be really, really effective. And one thing mentioned was Belisarius, his lead general. So, moving on. This is going to be the Byzantine Empire during the time of Justinian. All of that gold there. So you see, they're going to retake Italy. So Roman Empire is now going to have Italy again. They're going to take some of Spain, North Africa, and you have a lot of what nowadays we call Turkey, modern day Turkey, moving into the Middle East. This isn't going to last terribly too long, but and you see some of it even moves across the Black Sea into the southern parts of Russia. And like your book says, this is where you're going to see Russians are going to be introduced to Christianity from the Byzantine Empire. But we'll talk more about that later. So yeah, the empire is going to be a great, big, huge thing again. But unfortunately, it's not going to survive past him that long, kind of like with Charlemagne's empire. This is the Hagia Sophia, which means the Church of Holy Wisdom. And this was one of the largest buildings in the whole world at the time. But back when Justinian built it, it didn't have these marionettes. See these towers? Those 4 towers around it were built later because the Muslim Ottomans are going to conquer this area one day, and they're going to make it into a mosque. Nowadays, if I remember correctly, it's actually a museum. So it's going to be a church, and it's going to become a mosque, and that's going to become a museum. This is the inside. Now, a lot of the artwork has fallen apart, and it has a little less artwork than they would have had back then, because if there's one thing about Greek Orthodox Christians, is they're really, really into what's called iconography, which is where you have holy images, right? Like images of people from the Bible, or devout Christians later that they'll call the saints. And they use these kind of like as a focal point for like prayer and to educate people, especially people who can't read. This is the general mentioned in your readings, Belisarius. Belisarius is going to be very effective against the Vandals, the Visigoths, and all those Germanic people who conquered a lot of North Africa. And then he's going to take it to Italy. He's also going to be fighting the new Persians from the east. And so he's going to be very effective, very innovative, and he's going to take back Rome. Here's an image of them taking back Rome from the barbarians. I'll show. I have a video. I'll show you about the siege later, about how he's going to take back the city and then have to defend it against counterattacks. However, though, the story goes is he's actually when he gets old, he never had a form of retirement or anything like that, so he's going to end up a blind beggar. So even though he was the second most powerful person probably in most of the world at the time, he's still going to wind up one day having to beg. It's probably like his grandkid or something right there. So yeah, that's Darius. So we'll learn more about them later, but this is just an introduction. So the Byzantine Empire. So this has to do with Greece, and at this time, a lot of the world. And you're going to see that the Byzantines are going to be important for us. For one, we see that a lot of our laws are based off the laws that they helped put together. They're going to stave off and prevent Europe from having the new Persian Empire from taking over it. And they're going to be a wall against the Ottomans and, of course, the caliphates after the time of Muhammad. So they're also, we're going to see later, they're going to preserve a lot of that ancient knowledge of ancient Rome and Greece. And then after the Middle Ages, Europe is going to get that information from these guys. And we're going to see the Renaissance is going to be born largely from that information we're going to get from it. So this area is important for a lot of reasons, and the founders are going to study all this from America, and they're going to study a lot of the knowledge that they pass on. So what did I say the Byzantine Empire was?
Wasn't it Rome at like a certain point?
Yeah, it's we're gonna say it's the last surviving part of the Roman Empire. Yeah, you're absolutely right. And they're still going to have an emperor, and they're going to eventually they're going to start marrying out to other places. In fact, so what did the Romans call their emperor? They called him after a name of some guy. Caesar. Yeah, they called him Caesar. Well, eventually, when they get wiped out, the last family members of the Tsar are going to marry into the royal family of Russia. And so that's where they get the term Tsar from. So the Russian word for Caesar is just Tsar. So that's why you have like Tsar Nicholas and people like that. So yeah, it's the last surviving part of the Roman Empire. Its capital is Constantinople. It's and so they're going to speak Greek there. They're not going to speak Latin like the ancient Romans did. Their government, they're going to be a very heavy government place. They're known for having a lot of government officials to run almost everything. And so whenever you say that something's Byzantine, it means it's complicated, it's kind of tricky, and it's got a lot of rules and government regulations to it. So that's what people don't really use that word very often, but yeah. All right, now, who was Justinian the Great? As far as we know so far, he was is what? As far as our chapter told us, what do we know about Justinian? Shelby. What do we know about it? Or what I said about it? Like either one. He was the top of top.
was
Um,
the lead server at the Dairy. No. So else, what was he?
Important.
He wasn't. Well, it says right here he was the great. So yeah, he
or something.
is the ruler of.
Rome at a certain point.
The Byzantine Empire.
Yeah. So okay. Yeah. So emperor of the Byzantine Empire. They don't really give us the year. Don't worry about the year. And we're going to say during its golden age, okay? Simple as that. And so golden age is usually a time of great prosperity. So you'll see where often when country has golden age, they do a lot of conquest. So they usually build an empire. They have a lot of literature. They might have religious revivals, wealth, a little less hunger, and stuff like that. That was so common in the ancient world. So yeah, but we are going to talk more about this guy later. So don't worry, your ignorance shall be cured. That goes for all of you. Or you'll just ignore me. Don't do that. All right. So Belisarius, he was Justinian's head general. Yeah. So very good. For and most notably, he's going to reconquer what for them? Kimberly. What's he going to reconquer for them? He's going to take the what?
Byzantine.
Well, they have this. They have the Byzantine Empire, but he's the Roman Empire, or he's the Roman emperor. His general is going to take back something important for the Roman Empire.
Is a lion.
The land, but what part of the land? Like, think of a city from last year. Rome, yeah. So he's going to reconquer Rome. He's going to take it back from the barbarians. So retake Rome and much of the old empire back. But the thing is, it's going to be really hard and expensive. And so because of that, it's going to be an investment that's just going to really knock them off their feet for a while. Because the thing that stinks about empires is they're actually more expensive than they are profitable. So, but yeah, well, all right. So got that. Hey, all right. Now, Corpus Juris Civilis. So the body of civil law. So what was this, Ariel? What was so special about this word here? What did it say? It's one of the big things Justinian had done and that we still benefit from in some ways today. The body, the corpus, is where we get the word corpse, of civil, where we get civilization. Juris, like a juror, law. Do you remember what you read about it? No? Did you read about it? Yeah, I know. It's tough sometimes reading about this stuff because it's kind of like really boring. I know. Yes, sir.
It gave us the law, some laws that we have today.
Mm-hmm. So that's right. So Justinian had Roman laws. And here's the thing. the pagan Romans wrote down many of their laws, but the Roman laws we're talking about here is more of a Christian Rome, right? So they're not quite as, like, fathers didn't have the right to just outright execute their children for not doing what they wanted to anymore, like the pagan Romans did. Roman laws, which would influence Europe and America. So eventually America, right? So your book's not wrong in saying that a lot of our laws are based off this, but most of what American laws are based off is the idea of English common law. And English common law is essentially customs and tradition from court rulings and how people lived in England. A lot of times they never even wrote down a lot of these laws, but it's like the idea that laws developed over trial and error instead of having somebody tell you how things are going to be, essentially. All right, so there's some rebuilding going on in this golden age, and just straight up building. Hey, Robert, what kind of things did they rebuild? You gotta keep up with it. Come on. You gotta start remembering what you read. It was very Roman type things. Think about things, civilizations needed way back when before you were. Yeah. Roads, bridges, infrastructure. Yeah. Like I said, water. So during this time, and protection too, right? During this time, roads, bridges, aqueducts. What's an aqueduct? Yeah. Usually from a higher place to a lower place. And let's see. Oh, yeah. Churches, so you spread Christianity. And back then, a lot of times it was the state, it was the government for these ancient people who would build these things. Church and forts. Yeah, courts too. Built. So yeah, that's a good one. That's a good one. Let's see. So they're bringing law, order, faith, protection, mobility, the way to do commerce, a lot of things. And you're going to see agriculture is going to start doing better. They have more people that they can trade with. And when you exchange, everybody prospers. So yeah, I mean, this is a good thing for them. It's a really good thing. Now, I have a primary source thing for you, but we're going to do that next week. Tomorrow, the Empire Exposed in Europe, Empire Exposed. Yeah, we're going to go over two more little chapters tomorrow. Tomorrow we're going over chapter 14 and 15. So I'm going to take a picture of this and post it on the Google Classroom. We're going to end our lecture there. Y'all, hey, work on waking up tomorrow. Sleepy heads, just because it's raining. I'll have to look it up. I always forget. Hey, we're going to end the lecture today. We're going to go over the next two chapters tomorrow, 14 and 15. See you later.
Oh, yeah.